We recently made a video on the history of the croissant. As a conclusion, we made a recipe from 1906, the oldest laminated croissant recipe that we could find. Sadly, this one left us a little bit wanting, as it lacked the lovely multiple layers we think of when we hear the word croissant. This was caused by the recipe dating from before the dawn of commercial refrigeration, which is needed for the many crispy layers. We felt leaving you without a recipe for the croissant you all know and love would be cruel, so today we're treating you to a quick extra video for the modern croissant. In addition, we also just want to prove that we can in fact make these, and the weird looking ones from the main video weren't a skill issue. We are starting with 125 milliliters of water, to which we are adding 125 milliliters of milk. Then we're going to crumble 25 grams of fresh yeast into this. You can use active dry, just use 12 grams, or if you are using instant, 7 grams. Then get out your stand mixer. As we saw in the history of the croissant was always supposed to be machine made, so it makes sense to use a mixer. If you don't have one, you can do this by hand though. It will just be a lot more annoying. Weigh out 500 grams of flour. Ideally, you would use French T45. However, this is hard to get outside of France. Some say you should use pastry flour, but that can be too low in protein. Therefore, we recommend 00 flour. You're looking for a gentle flour with over 10% of protein. Put the flour in the bowl of the stand mixer, put 10 grams of salt on one side and 50 grams of sugar on the other. Now pour your yeasty milk water in the middle and mix for about 10 minutes. The resulting dough should be a relatively dry and firm dough. Cut a cross in your ball of dough. Not crucial, but it will help with rolling it out later. Put in an airtight-ish container and leave to proof for about an hour, or until doubled. Once doubled, roll out into a rough rectangle. No need to measure anything out at this stage. Just a rough rectangular shape will do. We don't like doing this because plastic is bad, but it's a bit of a necessary evil here. We're going to use this one sheet of cling film for 2 days though. Wrap this sheet around the dough so it doesn't dry out. We also want to preserve the rectangular shape, so we're putting it on a peel to move it in and out of the fridge. Let this sit in the refrigerator for 2 hours. While it chills, we're going to prepare our butter. Take a nice big sheet of baking paper and draw a 20 by 20 centimeter square on it. Now get out your butter. It's been pointed out to us that we should emphasize that if you do not live in Europe, you need European style butter. If you do live in Europe, most butters available in your local shop will work just fine. Ideally, you want the best butter your shop has on offer. Try to get a butter that is malleable even when it's straight out of the fridge. In Britain, we've had our best results with unsalted country life. Put your butter in the square you drew. Of course, make sure you've turned over the sheet. Give it a little beating so it roughly fills up the square, then fold shut the paper along the lines of the square. Roll the butter with the rolling pin so it fills up the square. Now put it in the fridge along with your dough. When your dough has rested for 2 hours, roll it out to roughly 20 by 40 centimeters. Put in your now very stiff butter square. Fold over your dough, flip and give it a quarter turn. Roll back out to 20 by 40 centimeters and give it a tour double or double fold. Fold both sides to the middle and then fold these on top of each other. Back in the fridge it goes for 1 hour. Roll back out to 20 by 40 centimeters. Do this by pressing the 2 ends and then the rest. It will be pretty tricky. If it doesn't work perfectly, don't feel bad. Croissants you get from a bakery are usually made with machines. They were never handmade, and unless you have one of these folding machines or your name is Claire Saffitz, your croissants will not be that perfect. And that's fine. When you got it to sort of 20 by 40, give it a tour simple or normal fold, which means one side overlaps the other. Give it a little squeeze, put it back in the cling film, which is still the same sheet of cling film, and back in the fridge it goes. You can do the next step another hour later, but we recommend leaving this overnight. Croissants are great for breakfast, so we want to make them the next morning. Get up really early, make coffee and take out your dough, which will look very pillowy. Resist the urge to go back to sleep. Roll it out to a big rectangle of roughly 50 by 40 centimeters. Make sure it's about half a centimeter thick throughout. Cut in half, Each half will result in about 8 croissants. Take a half and cut a little notch every 10 centimeters on one side. Then on the other side, skip the first 5 centimeters and then make another notch every 10 centimeters. Now, connect the sides to make triangles. You will have some trimmings at each end. Your triangles will be like very soft pizza slices, which you should treat with utmost care from here on. Make a tiny cut in the crust side of the pizza slice and roll them up nice and tight. Put them straight onto your oven tray. Make sure they're placed well apart because we soon won't be able to move these anymore. We now have 2 sheets with 8 croissants each. We're going to proof one in our oven, while the other 8 we're going to freeze. We've never done this before, but we'll leave a community update to let you know how that turned out. Make sure to subscribe so you get that update. The non-frozen ones are, as we said, going in the oven with just the light and a small container of boiling water underneath. We want this to be a warm and humid environment, but not too hot. If it's too hot, your butter might melt. We put our trimmings straight underneath our oven lamp to show what happens if your temperature goes over 30 degrees. After 2 hours of proofing, they should look like this. Give them a little milk and egg wash while your oven preheats to 200 degrees Celsius. Pop them in for 20 minutes. And look at these beauties. They're a bit dark. Maybe if you, like us, have a fan oven, reduce the temperature to 180 if you don't like them this dark. Looks notwithstanding, they are delicious. Hope you like this croissant recipe. We'll be back with a new video for Christmas. In the interim, we're about to publish a compilation video for the people who are new here. Thank you very much for watching.